So if you was outside in the South Bronx 2015 and any year previous, then you know that this image and all the other images in the intro are a visual representation of what the South Bronx was like on the G side, right? And that's just the YG side, right? So I'm gonna just shout out my niggas because I'm in a bad mood. I'm gonna do what the fuck I want to do with this video, all right? So shout out my nigga D1, T.O., Chris, Briss, Lacey, and I'm not fucking putting my face to this phone, but it's also Johnny 5 in the picture, Stan. I'm not gonna say one person's name because he went bad too. Tay's right there. I think my son YC's right there with his head turned. I know that's Tank. Yeah, so this is the visual representation of what the fuck being outside was. You know, shit was dangerous. So now that you got an idea of what the streets look like, let's talk about what the block was like. 151st and Morris Ave, right? This is across the street from Lincoln and across the street from Smith High School, if you need a reference point, right? So I'm not even from Morris Avenue. I'm from Queensbridge, but that block adopted me. And it didn't adopt me just because I was around. It was because I was official. And all them niggas are going to tell you that. So like I said, there was a lot going on in the hood at this time. So my right-hand man was a nigga, well, he went fed, but at the time, he was a YG nigga from Rio Lopez who was known to be a hustler. He wasn't a tough guy, shooter, none of that. And he was patched in with niggas on a different level with certain niggas that I wasn't patched in with. So when Rock would pull up, I would be around Rock through him, O, TA, DT, niggas like that. Or Rock could just be outside and I'd be outside at the same time. Now, it was a nigga named Lansky who lived in Rio Lopez who moved out, then came back. He was childhood friends with my right-hand man. When he moved back, he was managing Cassidy. And he was managing Cassidy at a critical time in his career. This is when he did the Disaster freestyle. Then he did the Gangnam Style remix and got the Trojan endorsement. And he was working with Fred Money. So it was a legitimate comeback, right? So it was Lansky. And then it was Stupid on the beat, who was also a childhood friend of my right-hand man. Yeah, I said all that to say, when I would look at the hood at this time, that those were like sources of like, damn, bro, like motivation, because they doing things that I didn't even know how to begin to get traction in doing, right? So I was motivated by those three. You know what I mean? I was just like, how the fuck do I figure out where my lane is at though, right? All right, so fuck the speculation. Let's get into the facts, right? So in the previous video, we explained what Rock's circumstances were based on the departure from the Coke Boy shit. Right now, I feel like there were two people that were instrumental to him moving forward. Number one is right here, Jim's World, right? So Jim's World, I'm not familiar with his work, but from what I see he's doing now and from what I see he was doing back then, he's always had some sort of ties to the industry and navigating his own lane and carving out his own lane in the industry, right? And I believe since him and Rock, you know, dealt with each other heavily, you know, he would have provided Rock that game moving forward in his career. Now, the second person was Stupid on the Beat. So Stupid on the Beat is a producer who had industry placements at the time, and he was providing Rock 24-hour access to the studio in industry quality beats, essentially giving him the opportunity to focus on his artist development. Now, granted, Rock had to focus on artist development, marketing, fucking establishing relationships. He had to focus on everything, but with those two people in his corner, it would have made it a little more advantageous in approaching this journey. Now, I'm an underdog, so I'm always rooting for a nigga, and I never want to see a nigga lose, right? Most people either are invested in people losing because they have some sort of envy, because they didn't make it to their level first, or they just lose interest or they're disinterested in shit, so when people fall off and get into situations, they just write them off. Me, I'm like, all three of them niggas inspired me. I seen Stupid talking some shit on Instagram, and I'm like, nigga, you was the reason I kept making beats, bruh. So I don't want to hear that shit from certain niggas because it's always one thing that could happen to turn life completely around. Look at Gilly. Gilly was nobody for dumb long. Not to say nobody, but he wasn't who he is today for mad long, right? So Rock pulls a rabbit out the hat because you can't count the nigga out. Niggas thought he was hiding under a rock, pun intended, right? But he was working. He lands a record with Jim Jones. He's actually all over the Vampire Life 3 mixtape, right? He got this Drink from the Bottle record. And the interesting part about him working with Jones is because it only proves my theory that Rock just needed the time and the resources and the platform in order to become the star that he was. Jim Jones. Did niggas forget Jim Jones didn't know how to rap? Y'all all act like y'all Dipset fans, but I was a Dipset fan since like Come Home With Me. I didn't like none of Cameron's previous albums before that. that Confessions of Fire, all that shit was cool. There was some joints. But overall, Come Home With Me and After, I was fucking with the set. But Jones could not fucking rap. But he had Cam and Cam's platform. The same way I was saying Rock could have used French's platform, Jim was able to successfully use that platform and then get the time necessary to figure out where he can carve out his niche in the market. Because I'm not gonna lie, Jones couldn't rap for fucking years, and I thought it was extremely coincidental. I know most people are gonna think the coincidence is that Jones and Montana, but I don't give a fuck about that. Now, granted, this wasn't a hit record. Right now, it's been 2 years since the Shot Caller record released, and then this came out. So he lost all the momentum from that record, and he kind of faded into the stands with everybody else, right? But what I feel like this song accomplished was it showed that Rock was still musically talented. And me personally, I just feel like this was a Charlie Rock record. I feel like Jones jumped on it because it required somebody to jump on it for it to actually break through to some level, but it wasn't really a Jim Jones record, to be honest with you. He said some cool shit, but favorite line is Young Bronx nigga, all I know is go hard. You heard? Because it's the facts.